Hello, I'm Mac, at least for a day, and everything's going to be okay. I wanted to show everyone my text adventure, A Garden for My Wife, which is now complete, and we're going to be getting all endings in this video. So we're going to start by getting the first ending, which I showed at the end of the last video, and then we'll get the rest. So, if you remember, I'll recap from last time. What happened is your wife passed away, and she made you promise before she died to grow her a garden. So you went to the attic and you found two books: The Joy of Gardening and The Garden of Flesh. And you take The Joy of Gardening and you use it to grow a flower garden. But you're haunted by dreams of the Garden of Flesh book telling you that you can bring your wife back to life if you use it. So finally you can't take it anymore, and this happens. You awaken with a start and find yourself laying at the bottom of the ladder to the attic. You must have walked in your sleep. You can't stand it any longer. You have to do something about that book or you will go mad. So we need to go get the Garden of Flesh from the attic. There it is, the infernal book. You've got to either read it or destroy it, or you will never be free of this torment. So we take the Garden of Flesh. You take the Garden of Flesh with you. And then we leave the attic. So I'm going to start by doing what it takes to get the first ending, which is you go to the cupboard. This cupboard is where you keep various odds and ends. There should be some lighter fluid and matches here. So you rifle through the cupboard, finding the lighter fluid and matches. You take the lighter fluid and the matches and leave. And go back to the bedroom. Go to the fireplace. This is your fireplace. You could burn the book here once it's lit. So you use the lighter fluid and matches. You douse the wood with lighter fluid and light it with a match. The fire is now lit. Then we use the Garden of Flesh. If you burn the Garden of Flesh, it might free you from constantly wondering if you could bring your wife back to life with it. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Choose yes. You burn the Garden of Flesh, symbolically accepting the death of your wife. You feel like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders. The flowers in your garden soon bloom, which brings you great joy. Though you always feel sad when you think about your wife, you are finally able to move on and enjoy living again. Each year you grow a flower garden. Though they are not human, tending to these little lives gives you a sense of companionship. Your wife must have felt the same way when she grew a garden to cope with her childlessness. You realize your wife didn't want you to grow the garden for her. She wanted you to grow it for you, to help you deal with her loss. You live many more years in peace and contentment before finally rejoining your wife in the afterlife. Ending, The Joy of Gardening. So that is the ending we got at the end of the last video. Now we're going to congratulations on getting an ending. We're going to restart chapter and get the next ending. Okay, go grab the book again. Take the Garden of Flesh. Leave the attic. Okay, go to the dining room. Look at the table. Use item, Garden of Flesh. You place the Garden of Flesh on the table. What will you do? Read the Garden of Flesh. You don't believe this book could bring your wife back to life, but if it doesn't have any power, then there's no harm in taking a look at it. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Yes.
The Garden of Flesh is a much sought-after construct in necromancy. It would allow its creator to grow a new body for the deceased, granting them true resurrection and immortality. Many have tried and failed to grow a garden of flesh, but here I will tell you the proper process in which to create one.
Hopefully you could hear that. I made it send the sound from the voiceover to the controller to kind of make it seem like it's speaking into your mind. I don't know if if the sound of it will show up in the video or not. If not, I'm sorry, you'll have to read it yourself. But as you read the first page of the Garden of Flesh, you can hear the words in your head, as if the author is speaking directly into your mind. It is a surreal experience. Then, on the handwriting says, the entrance to the basement is under the cupboard. What's this? There is a note at the bottom of the page. It's written in different ink, and your wife's handwriting. It says the entrance to the basement is under the cupboard. Basement? Your wife said this house didn't have a basement, just a crawl space that you couldn't fit into. Alright, so we'll take the Garden of Flesh with us. Investigate the cupboard. Come to think of it, this cupboard has not moved from this spot in the more than 40 years you have lived in this house. Move the cupboard. You move the cupboard to the side, revealing a dark wooden trapdoor. Okay, look at the trapdoor. You can't believe you never found out this trapdoor was here, despite living over half your life in this house. Enter the trapdoor. You open the trapdoor and climb the ladder beneath it down into the dark unknown. You descend into the basement, which is barely lit by the light filtering through the cracks in the floorboards above. There are several items around the room, including a table, a cauldron, a mattress, and 2 shelves filled with bottles. Okay, so we gotta look at everything. You glance at the labels on some of the bottles and are shocked to discover that they contain strong acids and bases. You can't believe such dangerous substances were stored beneath your feet all this time. Okay, and we're going to look at the mattress. The old mattress is stained with blood. You're afraid to imagine what may have happened here. Look at the cauldron. The old black cauldron looks like something out of the Dark Ages. You can't believe you would consider using it. Look at the table. It's an old rough-cut wooden table. There's a handwritten note on it. So read the note. My love, I am sorry I never told you. My grandfather was a necromancer. When you were gone to war and I had a miscarriage, I tried to use my grandfather's notes to bring my baby back to life, but I couldn't do it. I also could not bring myself to destroy my grandfather's work. I decided to leave it up to you to do what I could not. Love, Maureen. Your blood runs cold as you read the note. Not only did your wife know about the necromantic text, but her grandfather wrote it and she tried using it herself. But what did she mean when she says you should do what she could not? From the note, it could mean either to use the notes or destroy them. Okay, now we'll place the Garden of Flesh. You have great apprehension about performing a necromantic ritual, but you have already made the decision to see this through. The worst that could happen is that you fail to bring back your wife, and you'll be no worse off than before. You set the Garden of Flesh on the table and turn to the next page.
The first step is to create the water of life. This is done by mixing 7 of the strongest acids with 7 of the strongest bases. When acids and bases are mixed, they become water and salt. However, the final mixture will be acidic enough to dissolve the later ingredients. It is important to note that mixing these substances in the wrong order could release poisonous gases.
Okay, so mix of all ingredients in a large cauldron. First, we need hydrochloric acid and potassium. So hydrochloric and potassium. It appears that you will have to do some chemistry. Fortunately, you worked as a pharmacist and know a bit about handling dangerous substances, and the ingredients you need are on the shelf. Okay, so I gotta look again. Hydrochloric and potassium hydroxide. Actually, I think I'll start by showing you what happens if you do the wrong thing. I'm just going to take 2 random bottles. And you can only take 2. If you try to take more than 1, it'll say you cannot carry more. I'm going to go to the cauldron. I'm going to use this first set of ingredients, which I got the wrong ones, so you pour the ingredients you have into the cauldron and noxious fumes start issuing out. Death. All your efforts were meaningless. So now we gotta watch this part again, sorry.
The first step is to...
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I made it skippable, so thankfully we can skip that. Alright, hydrochloric and potassium. Get it right this time. Hydrochloric, and you got to go to bases, and potassium hydroxide. You pour hydrochloric acid and potassium hydroxide into the cauldron. The mixture reacts and begins to bubble. Alright, next one is nitric acid and sodium. Nitric and sodium. Nitric and sodium. There we go. Alright, use second set of ingredients. Third, sulfuric and barium. Sulfuric and barium. Alright, use those. Now hydrobromic and cesium. Hydrobromic and cesium. Alright. Hydroiodic and calcium. Let me make sure I get this right. Where's iodic? Oh, there it is. Hydroiodic. And let me double check. Hydroiodic and hydroiodic and calcium. Almost did cesium again. Calcium. There we go. This is probably the most challenging part of the game. Making sure you get this right, even though it's just straight solving a recipe. It's not like a complex puzzle, but you just gotta follow each step correctly or you die. Perchloric and lithium. Perchloric. There it is. And lithium. There we go. Alright, last set. Chloric and rubidium. Chloric, rubidium. There we go. You add chloric acid and rubidium hydroxide to the mixture. You successfully created the water of life and can go on to the next step.
One final catalyst is needed in the water of life. A rare plant called Gaia Thistle. Drop the whole plant into the mixture and let it dissolve. Then pour the contents of the cauldron over a soft, absorbent material, such as goose down or woolen blankets. This is the fertile soil in which the garden will grow. Next, you must plant the first seeds of the garden. Start by procuring the bones and fresh offal of a four-legged beast of the field.
Alright, the next couple ingredients won't be as easy to obtain, as they don't appear to be available here in the basement. You need a plant called Gaia Thistle, which you've never heard of before, but you remember that the young lady who came by your house the other day was a botanist and asked about thistles, so perhaps she would know something about it. You also need the bones and offal of a beast of the field. You think offal is an old word for intestines. Deer live here in the valley, but you have no weapons with which to kill one. You may have to ask that hunter, Jeff, if he has killed a deer and can give you bones and guts from it. You loathe the idea of talking to that filthy man again. Alright, leave the basement. You take one last look at the basement. You are still in disbelief that you are performing a necromantic ritual and still don't think it will work, but are happy to have some small sliver of hope that you might see your wife again. You need to find a Gaia Thistle plant and the bones and guts from a grazing animal. You cannot obtain these on your own, so you will have to ask the other residents of the valley. You should also get something to hold these items. The sack in the shed should work. You hear a gunshot in the distance. With any luck, that hillbilly made a fresh kill. Right, I can look at the trapdoor. This is the trapdoor that leads to the basement, but you don't need to go back down there until you have the other ingredients. So we're going to go outside. Alright, I should go to the shed first. Take the sack. You take the sack that you previously used to hold fertilizer. Alright, head to the neighbor's properties. This is the first time we get to go out into the valley. We've mostly just been around the house till now. Over there is where your car and the cars of the valley's other residents are parked. That road is the only way in or out of the valley without climbing a mountain. Continue. This is where your wife is buried. You do not want to linger long. The emotions are too raw. There's Jeff. It looks like he did indeed kill a deer with that shot. Well, howdy, neighbor. Look what I just got. A 10-point buck. This will go well with the 6-pointer I got the other night. I'm going to ask him, what does 6-point and 10-point even mean? Why, it's the number of points on its antlers, of course. Could I have the bones and offal from that deer? Offal? What's that? Its droppings? No, it's guts. Oh, well, sure. All I want is its head for a trophy and the meat to feed my kids. Kids? You didn't know this guy had a family. For some reason, you assumed he was a single guy that slept around. I was just going to skin it now. I'll save the bones and guts for you. You got anything I can put them in, though? My cooler is almost full of deer meat as it is. Here, can you put them in this potato sack? Ah, great. Come back in a little bit and I'll have it ready for you. Now, where did I put that knife? Alright, now we can go to the botanist shack. There's that young botanist. You think her name is Zua. You feel bad about how you acted last time you saw her and plan to apologize. Excuse me. Oh, hello. I'm sorry about how I acted when we first met. No, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have come at you with so many questions. I just get so carried away when I talk about plants. Speaking of plants, do you know of something called Gaia Thistle? You know about Gaia Thistle? That plant is the main reason I came here. It's supposed to only be found in this valley and has healing properties. I hope it hasn't died out. Me too. Could you tell me what it looks like so I can help search for it? Of course, it has very sharp nettles and a bright red flower, at least according to this diagram in an old book I read. Thanks, I'm going to look for some then. Great, if you find something that you think could be it, bring it to me please. You can have the specimen, but I really need some of its seeds. Alright, if I find it, I will bring it to you and let you have some seeds. You need to slowly and methodically search the valley for Gaia Thistle. It may take several rounds of combing the forest before you finally spot it, but you're determined to find it if it's the last thing you do. So, I worked a bit harder on this than it was really worth it, but you can explore the really large valley and find mostly nothing. You search the area closely, but you don't find anything that resembles the thistle. So there's basically a 3x3 grid, so 9 squares that you can walk around in the forest and search and not find anything for quite a while. I'm just going to go ahead and go straight to where it is. So if you go this way, this is where you can find it. Search the area closely here. What's this? This plant has bright red flowers and lots of thorns. It has to be it. What will you do? Take thistle. You take the thistle with you. Strange, the plant was growing right behind your house. Could your wife have been growing it when she was practicing necromancy? Regardless, you should take the plant back to Zua to check if it really is Gaia Thistle and let her have the seeds you promised. It's getting late. You should wrap up your errands with your neighbors and get home before it gets too dark. There's Zua, waiting to see if you found anything. You should ask her if the plant you found is Gaia Thistle. What will you say? I found this plant with thorns and red flowers. Do you think it is Gaia Thistle? Yes, that's it. It looks exactly like the diagram in the book I read. Where did you find it? Actually, it was in my backyard. Oh, no wonder I couldn't find it. I was afraid to go near your property after... Yeah, sorry about how I acted. Don't worry, finding the plant for me more than makes up for it. You will let me cut a few seeds off of the flowers, right? Yes, of course. Zua takes scissors from her pocket and trims a few clippings from the thistle's flower into her hand. Thank you so much. If I can get these seeds to grow, we might be able to use this plant to make medicines. You are welcome. Now that your business with Zua is concluded, you should go see if Jeff has the deer bones and guts ready for you. Go to Jeff's cabin. True to his word, Jeff has filled the potato sack with bones and guts from the deer, and it is now dripping with blood. You take the sack of deer bones and guts with you. Okay, go home. Right, what will you do? Look at trapdoor. Now that you have the thistle, bones, and guts you need, you can return to the basement and complete this step. You have the Gaia Thistle and deer innards for the next part of the ritual, but you should double check the book to remind yourself about what to do with them. Okay, go to the table. So we need to put the plant into the cauldron and then dump it onto the mattress. So put Gaia Thistle in. You put the Gaia Thistle into the cauldron and it quickly dissolves into the acidic mixture. Then we're going to dump the mixture onto the mattress. You dump the cauldron's contents onto the mattress and the acidic mixture soaks into it. You should turn to the next page in the book and find out what exactly you should do with the deer bones and guts. Go to the table, look at book, turn the page.
Lay the bones and entrails on the bedding soaked in the water of life. These are the first seeds of the garden of flesh. They should begin to grow and take root immediately. You must act quickly and complete the next crucial step.
Alright. Nope, not cauldron. Mattress. Alright, dump sack of deer bones and guts. You dump the bag of bones and guts onto the mattress and the blood quickly soaks through it. Just a note here, there's a collection of really gross mattresses that people made. It's like a competition where one person made a gross mattress. I think it was different people all started making worse and worse mattresses. So this is one of them that I used for it. I used some of the others later in the game. Yeah, so. It is late and you are very tired, but the book said it is important that the next step be completed quickly, so you better turn the page and see what it is. Okay, go to the table, look at the book, so turn the page.
In order to resurrect human bodies, the seed of a male and female is required. Cut open the fresh bodies of a man and woman, and add their entrails, including their reproductive organs, to the seedbed for the garden of flesh. Only then will it become possible to grow new bodies for the deceased.
You knew it. You knew this evil occult ritual would ask for human sacrifices eventually. You should never have started following its instructions in the first place. You feel like you're going to be sick. Slam the book shut in disgust. What will you do? Leave the basement?
Stop.
You hear the same voice in your head that you hear when you read the book, and your body is unable to move.
You will kill the man and woman you saw today and spread their entrails on the garden.
What will you say? Who or what are you?
In life, my name was Maurice. I was your wife's grandfather.
How is this possible?
I was an accomplished necromancer, and my goal was to successfully grow the garden of flesh. But I realized that to do this, I would need knowledge and power I could only obtain from beyond the grave. So I bound my soul to this book, so that I could pass on the knowledge to my descendants. However, my granddaughter was not willing to make the human sacrifices that I required.
And neither am I.
Ah, but unlike my granddaughter, you have no knowledge of necromancy and cannot resist. Over time, my soul has infiltrated your own, and I can now exert my will upon you. Now, go and do as I have commanded, and your wife will live again.
Alright, so we're going to... This is another choice. We're going to get one of the next endings now. So we're going to go to Acid Shelf. You have control of your body again, at least for now. This might be your last chance to destroy the book before it forces you to commit murder. So we're going to take a bottle of acid. You might be able to pour the bottle of acid on the book and destroy it quickly before it can stop you. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Yes. You grab a bottle of acid off of the shelf as fast as you can. Dump the acid on the book. You dump the acid on the book. You hear it scream in your mind as the book dissolves, releasing poisonous gases. Run from the basement. You run from the basement as fast as you can. When the screams in your head grow silent at last, you go back down and dispose of the remains of the book and the mattress covered in filth. After having some positive experiences with the other residents of the valley, you continue to interact with them. You realize that, despite being poor and of a different culture than you, Jeff is actually a really nice guy. You strike up more conversations with him and the two of you become friends. Each year you look forward to the hunting seasons when he comes around again, and you even go hunting together. Zua stays in the valley for a while to grow Gaia Thistle and study the conditions that allow it to thrive. You visit her daily to talk and get gardening advice. She becomes like the daughter you never had, and she even invites you to her and her fiancé's wedding, which you agree to attend. Though you still miss your wife and think about her often, you now have other people in your life that care about you, and you are no longer lonely. Ending. It is the living with which we must live. Nice. This, at least in my opinion, is the best ending. Congratulations on getting an ending. Please check out my YouTube channel, Mac4Day, where I play games and dreams. I wonder, though, what would have happened if you'd made different choices. So we're going to restart chapter. Now we're going to make the other choice and go to the ladder. Leave the basement. If you leave the basement without destroying the book, Maurice will likely influence you to kill your neighbors. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Yes. You have chosen to kill your neighbors so that your wife can be resurrected. So the narration in the game now is now being narrated by Maurice in the book, because he's controlling you. You will do as you are told. So go to the bedroom, look at the shovel. It's the shovel that you use to open the attic. This will do nicely. You take the shovel with you. Of course, I am the voice of Maurice. I changed the voice to be deeper, that's why it sounds so deep. I changed the voice with the game's tools, I mean. Go outside. Jeff has a gun. If you try to kill Zua first and she screams, he may come and stop you. Deal with him first. Jeff is younger and more fit than you. You need to catch him unaware to be able to overpower him. Find a way to distract him. go knock on the door. Well, hey, cousin, you scared me. What you doing up so late? I saw a rabbit over there. A rabbit? I don't need no small game like that, haha. I saw a 10-point buck over there. Ah, too bad. I already shot 2 deer. You only get 2 deer tags per season. I saw a cougar over there. A cougar? It must have come out of the mountains. I better shoot it before it mauls one of you. Follow him. Where's the cougar? I don't see him. Bash his head in with the shovel. But he has a family.
Kill him.
Take his gun. Go to the woman's house. Knock on the door and shoot her when she comes out. Hello? What's going on? What was that sound I heard? What? Why are you doing this? Shoot her. But she reminds me of my wife.
Shoot her.
You find a combat knife in Jeff's cabin. Then you drag their bodies down to the basement. You cut them open and spread their entrails over the mattress. So this is another one of the filthy mattresses that people made.
Well done. The garden of flesh has been planted at last. Now, go and sleep. The garden will grow overnight. Tomorrow we will discuss the final step.
You wake up in your bed. You wish that what you remember was a dream, but you know it is not. You have killed people. Though you may have been under the influence of another entity, you were the one who set these events in motion, and you are to blame for what has happened. So obviously the tone of the game has taken a dramatic turn because you've made the choice to go down the evil path. Okay, go to the dining room. Go to trapdoor. All that is left to do is gaze upon the horror that you have created. The garden of flesh has grown all right. The basement is no longer recognizable. The walls and floor have become covered in pulsating flesh and blood. So, before now this game was pretty much just a drama, but now it is a horror game when you go down this path. The book is now a part of the garden. It sits on a wall of writhing organs and sinews where the mattress once lay. Approach the book.
Isn't it beautiful? The garden of flesh in all its glory. How I have longed for this day.
You forced me to kill people.
Perhaps, but you could have resisted if you had tried hard enough. Deep down, you were willing to do whatever it took to be with your wife again. Or it may be that you just wanted to see what would happen.
That was kind of a fourth wall break, a jab at the player saying you just wanted to see what would happen. Most players that would go down this path obviously do it to see what would happen, to see what other possibilities there are. And then I could say, why are you doing this?
For the same reason you did it. To bring your wife, my granddaughter, back to life.
There must be something more you want.
Well, I plan to grow a new, immortal body for myself too, of course.
You aren't going to stop there, are you?
Ah, figured it out, have you? The ultimate goal of necromancy has always been to end the natural cycle of birth and death. I will grow new bodies for all the dead spirits of humans who have gone before. Then as one, we will spread across the earth and bring all of mankind into our fold. It will be an end to suffering, an end to hunger, scarcity, and death. A perfect world for an endless and undying human race.
So you're going to kill everyone and make them undead?
Yes.
Okay, then I can ask what happens now.
We can speed up Maureen's revival if we have her remains. Go dig up her body and bring it here.
Okay, we're gonna leave. Maurice has revealed to you that he plans to slaughter the entire human race and regrow their bodies in his garden of flesh. He wants you to go dig up your wife's body and bring it to him, but if you do that, you may be giving up your last chance to stop his plan. Okay, so we're going to get, this is another choice. We're going to do this first to get another ending. It's the cupboard you move to reveal the trapdoor. Search the cupboard. You search the cupboard and find your lighter fluid and matches. Take lighter fluid, take matches. Yeah. Now we're going to go to the couch. It's the couch where you used to sit and chat with your wife. Use item, use lighter fluid and matches. If you douse the couch with lighter fluid and light it with a match, it should set the whole house on fire. This might collapse the house and destroy the garden of flesh beneath it, stopping Maurice's plan. This decision will change the course of your life. Are you sure this is what you want to do? Yes. You don't care if you lose your house. You know you deserve it for murdering innocent people. You only hope the world will be spared by your actions.
Fool, what have you done? If the Garden and I die, then you'll die with us.
Maurice's hastily grown body attacks you and you wrestle to the ground. While he is trying to choke you out, the ceiling collapses on top of you both. Weeks later, family members came looking for Zua and Jeff. Finding the devastation in the valley, a police investigation was launched. Evidence found told the story of a man who murdered his two neighbors in cold blood, then burned his house down with himself and their bodies in it. Rumors spread that the remains of something inhuman were also found in the wreckage of the house, but officials would not confirm this. From then on, the valley was believed to be haunted and most steered clear of it, unless taking a youthful dare. Ending. Kill it with fire. Congratulations on getting an ending. So now we'll restart the chapter and go a different route. Okay, we're going to look at the shovel. This is the shovel you killed Jeff with. It is stained with his blood. Take the shovel. Go outside. Okay, let's look at the flower garden. The flowers you planted have all withered and died, but you don't care about that anymore. Okay, go to your wife's grave. This is your wife's grave. It's hard to believe it was only about a month ago that you watched her be buried here. Use item, use the shovel. If you dig up your wife's body and take it to the Garden of Flesh, there may be no going back for you or the rest of humanity. This decision will change the course of your life, yes. You don't care about the possible consequences. All you care about is getting to see your wife alive again. You use the shovel to dig up your wife's coffin. You open the lid to the coffin. There she is, as beautiful as the day she died. Pick up your wife's body. You pick up your wife's body and carry it in your arms. It is surprisingly light due to all fluids being removed in the embalming process. Go back to your house. What will you do? Carry your wife's body down to the basement.
Lay her before me.
Lay Marine's body down. The Garden of Flesh tears Marine's body apart, then quickly grows a new one, but it is morbid and grotesque. It grows a body for Maurice as well, equally macabre, but also big and powerful. No, why? Why did you give in to him?
Well done, good and faithful servant. For your loyalty, I shall grow you an exceptional body.
Maurice kills you, then grows you a new body in the garden, strong and powerful like his, but also completely under his control. You watch in horror as the Garden of Flesh grows and consumes all life in the valley, then grows an army of the dead from human history. You unwillingly lead the horde across the countryside, slaughtering all in your path. Each human slain becomes another number in your ranks, and all other nature becomes a part of the ever-growing Garden of Flesh. This continues until no force on earth can oppose the crushing tide of undead. Every inch of land becomes the bed of the Garden of Flesh, and even the ocean turns to blood as all marine life is killed to slake the garden's insatiable thirst. The human race ceases to exist, as each individual is just an extension of its will, and are reabsorbed once the entire planet is taken. The earth itself is now the Garden of Flesh, which slowly digests all life and feels nothing but hunger as its corpse ceaselessly decays. Ending. The Garden of Flesh. congratulations on getting an ending. Please check out my YouTube channel, Mac for a Day, where I play games and dreams. I wonder, though, what would have happened if you made other choices. I'm going to end. Alright, so that was my game, The Garden of Flesh. The theme or moral of the story should be obvious. You need to accept the death of your loved ones and live your life without them. Learn to live with other people and move on with your life. If you try to obsess over the people who have died and not move on, then it will destroy your life. Obviously not exactly in this way. This is kind of an urban fantasy, a realistic story that also has fantastical things in it that aren't possible. But I wanted to have some fun with it. So anyway, that has been the garden, a garden for my wife, my text adventure. I hope you enjoyed it. I have been Mac. Thank you for joining me for a day. And remember, everything's going to be okay.